Live from New York City, RadioIrish.com.
Probably the biggest news story to break in centuries, but for some reason or another, your American news networks are either too busy giving you the latest from American Idol, or are just too dumb to have noticed what the Pope's astronomist has, this week, declared. This is very, very interesting now, very fascinating, and of course, I was listening to WABC last night. I was listening to Just Beyond the Laura Ingraham show, and this thing about the Pope's astronomist has far-reaching repercussions, or it could have far-reaching repercussions, if you think about it, because it opens up a whole gambit of questions that the Church now has to answer, or at least attempt to answer. But let me give you the details first. The Pope's astronomist. Right. What is he saying? Well, from the Vatican City, believing that the universe may contain alien life does not contradict a faith in God, the Vatican's chief astronomer said in an interview published on Tuesday. The Reverend Jose Gabriel Funes, the Jesuit director of the Vatican Observatory, was quoted as saying that the vastness of the universe means it is possible there could be other forms of life outside Earth, even intelligent ones. How can we rule out that life may have developed elsewhere? Funes said. Just as we consider earthly creatures as a brother and a sister, why should we not talk about an extraterrestrial brother? It would still be part of creation, Funes says. In the interview by the Vatican newspaper L'Osservatore Romano, Funes said that such a notion... Do you like that Italian accent? Let me do it again. L'Osservatore Romano. Funes said that such a notion doesn't contradict our faith, because aliens would still be God's creatures. Ruling out the existence of aliens would be like putting limits on God's creative freedom, Funes says. The interview, headlined "The Extraterrestrial is My Brother," covered a variety of topics, including the relationship between the Roman Catholic Church and science and the theological implications of the existence of alien life. Funes also added that science, especially astronomy, does not contradict religion, touching on a theme by Pope Benedict XVI, who has made exploring the relationship between faith and reason a key aspect of his papacy. The Bible is not a science book, Funes says, adding that he believes the Big Bang theory is the most reasonable explanation for the creation of the universe. The theory says the universe began billions of years ago in the explosion of a single superdense point that contained all matter. All matter. Even me and you. But he said he continues to believe that God is the creator of the universe and that we are not the result of chance. Funes urged the Church and the scientific community around the world to leave behind divisions caused by Galileo's persecution 400 years ago, saying the incident has caused wounds. Of course, Galileo was persecuted by the Church. In 1633, the astronomer was tried as a heretic and forced to recant his theory that the Earth revolved around the Sun. Church teaching at the time placed Earth at the center of the universe, you see. The Church has somehow recognized its mistakes, Funes says. Maybe it could have done it better and earlier too, but now it's time to heal those wounds, and this can be done. So there you go, the Pope's astronomer saying, you know what, there could be a couple of characters on Mars after all, and if they're there, well, good and well. You know, he doesn't say anything about should we try and find them, or he doesn't say anything, would they be welcome in Mass? Like, if they walked into Mass now, would they, you know, you're sitting there on Sunday morning, on your knees, your tongue hanging out, and a group of Martians walks in behind you. Would they be welcome in church? That's an interesting question now. There's one for our listeners out there. This is Radio Irish, and we're asking the question, should Martians be allowed into the church on Sunday Mass, for Sunday Mass? Should they be allowed, if there are Martians, should they be allowed to come into Mass? And should they be allowed to march in the St. Patrick's Day parade? Now that's an even more interesting question. Like, if the church is saying, you know what, there's a good possibility that there are Martians out there, or there are a couple of lads knocking about on Neptune that we don't know about, they're managing to live in the gas and the fire and whatever the hell is going on over there on Neptune, should they be allowed to march in the St. Patrick's Day 2009 here in New York? Well, I mean, the church is saying that there could be Martians, basically. And if there are Martians, what's the church going to do? What's it going to say about them if we ever discover them? I don't know. What would I say? I don't know what I would say to them. I suppose I'd ask them in for a cup of tea first. I suppose that's a good place to start. It's as good a place as any to start, no? Come on in for a cup of tea.
Broadcasting 24/7 to the Irish community. RadioIrish.com.